Hey guys, this is Vishnu Ravi Shankar. Welcome to the fifth NBA on Ekalavyas Podcast. Today I have with me Himamshu Dabir, and we are sort of bang in the middle of the NBA Finals. 4 games have been completed, and the NBA Finals is tied 2 each. So we're going to discuss what has happened so far, and also talk ahead. 3 games remaining, potentially 3 games remaining. We'll see what happens. But the first 4 games, it's been a close series so far. I mean, barring the last game, barring game four, the first 2 games went to overtime. And I mean, the story really coming into this series was, two sort of evenly balanced teams. But then after the first game with the Kyrie injury, it all became about, LeBron versus Golden State. So we'll start with game one. Game one was again a tight game. Both teams, it was closely contested. It went to overtime. Golden State came off with a victory, 108-100, with dominating in the overtime period. But LeBron had a huge game. LeBron scored 44 points, but he did take 38 shots on 18 of 38, 44 points. So yeah, let's start talking about that game.
So I really thought Kyrie Irving played great, like probably one of his best games of the playoffs. He looked healthy. He was active. He played good defense. He was engaged the entire game. He passed the ball. He moved it well. And I think that when that injury happened, it was just devastating to see because he had really played well that game.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. He came out aggressive. Actually, both teams were sort of like rusty because it was a long layoff after the conference finals. I think almost a week, a layoff for both teams. Kyrie did come out aggressive. Steph was struggling a bit initially, and then he got it going second quarter onwards. The Warriors team did get another spark off the bench. Maurice Spates played his first game after a long layoff. He missed the conference finals, and he provided some offensive spark for them. On the other hand, Cleveland, there was a lot of isolation ball. Mainly LeBron and Kyrie dominating the ball in regular time, and a lot of ISO plays for LeBron. Well, that's how they play. They didn't move the ball. Was there not much of sharing happening? Unlike Golden State, and that sort of, as you go down the stretch, it sort of affects you. If your other players haven't touched the ball much during the game, then you can't just expect them to come and, when the ball is in their hands down the stretch, make those shots.
Yeah, and down the stretch without Kyrie, they had to just feed LeBron the ball. And at the end of regulation, he was doing great, but in overtime, he kind of waned a little bit. A couple of his jumpers missed, and then you kind of lost him in the game. He just wasn't really active and engaged. It looked like. So I really think that injury to Kyrie kind of hurt them. And like you said, the ISO ball. The other players were kind of used to just waiting for LeBron to do something, and then they'd either get an open shot or just wait for I mean, they were just waiting for LeBron, kind of, and he just wasn't able to put it together.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, down the stretch towards that game, it was close. It was neck and neck. I mean, Golden State were up by 2 points, and then LeBron fed Mozgov the ball. He gave it up to Mozgov. In the final minute, Mozgov got fouled, made those 2 clutch free throws, and it was a tied game, 98 each. Then on the other end, when it was Golden State possession, Kyrie got that huge block.
That block was great. That was. I mean, I'd never seen him play defense like that, and it was great. I mean,
yeah, he got a huge block earlier in the game also on Steph.
He had a couple. He had 3 or 4 that game.
Yeah. And the block in the final 30 seconds against Steph was absolutely clean. It was all ball. Then the game went to overtime, and Stephen Curry just took over. He went to the free throw line multiple times, drawing the defense to him. And then that Kyrie injury, he bumped knees with Klay Thompson and fractured his left kneecap. So Cleveland was just not in it in the overtime period. It was a 10-2 run by Golden State. LeBron scoring their only lone basket, which came in the final seconds, and Golden State just ran away with the game there. So Curry put in 26 points that game. Klay Thompson put in 21 points, and Iguodala. He's been a consistent player throughout the 4 games so far. He put in 15 points in the first game.
He had some huge threes towards the end in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's right. And the 23 points by Kyrie Irving was, it contributed to the offensive load, but then those 23 points, at least those shots which Kyrie takes, Cleveland was missing in the second, third, and fourth game. Now, after that Kyrie injury, people just start, look to count Cleveland out. They're like, okay, it's going to
I
end
thought it
early.
was going to be a sweep, honestly.
Yeah.
Saying sweep.
Yeah. But game 2 again in Oakland, you got to give credit to Cleveland for coming out, really aggressive. They seem like a really desperate team with a chip on their shoulder. In that game, the Cavs role players really stepped up. Mozgov has been also on the Cleveland side another consistent player throughout the series.
He's been playing great. I mean, him and Tristan Thompson have really been the first 3 games pushed around in the Golden State big men, and they've been non-existent for those first 3 games. And it really, you could see that everyone expected Golden State to kind of be physical, especially with Draymond Green and Bogut, 2 physical guys, defenders and on the boards. But Tristan Thompson and Mozgov have really showed them that they are equal to them, if not better, in terms of their physicality.
Yeah, that's true. In this game, we did see Klay Thompson having a better game than game 1. He came out hot. He scored 20 in the first half. But then, the game was, mostly neck and neck throughout. It went up and down, but then both teams, it was just a tightly contested game. It went down to the final seconds again in regular time. Steph tied the game with a layup in the final minute. And then LeBron had a chance. Some people would have said that there were a lot of body contact in that final play, the final drive, which he missed with the left hand. But then there were no fouls called and the game went to overtime. In overtime, though, there were a few hacks on LeBron.
Yeah, there was a lot of fouls that could have gone on LeBron's side. And that game in general, towards the end of that, was just poorly refereed.
Yeah.
There were a lot of missed calls, fouls, out of bounds, a few things.
Yeah, that's right. And people could say that, there was that hack on LeBron, which was a clear, hack from Andre Iguodala. But people could say that, he did travel on that play as well. So referees were trying to keep it fair. So I don't know. I mean, you just call it as you see it, I guess. But that didn't happen. There were some, really not so smart fouls by Cleveland as well, especially from J.R. Smith.
He had 3 really dumb fouls.
Yeah, exactly. And so that sort of kept the game close. There were multiple lead changes even in the overtime period. Draymond Green got a huge block on LeBron James.
Yeah.
And that was
across the lane, kind of just
help defense, and that was amazing to watch. But then with Golden State up by 1 point, 93-92, LeBron James misses the shot, and Dellavedova gets the offensive rebound. Putback gets fouled, makes two clutch free throws. And then in the other end, his defense on Stephen Curry. I mean, they sort of trapped him. Shumpert was there as well, and Steph Curry got an air ball. And then towards the end, LeBron got fouled, and he closed the deal with his free throws. So that game also went to overtime, 95-93. LeBron had another huge game with a triple-double, 39 points, 11 assists, and 16 rebounds. So this game was Golden State, Cleveland they stole one in Oakland, and they went back home with, that sort of confidence.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that the role players stepped up huge for Cleveland. The only one that didn't was J.R. Smith. And he's all series, he's been pretty bad.
Yeah.
He's not making open threes. He doesn't seem engaged. He's had a couple of layups and really a couple of threes, but overall he's shooting really poorly from the 3-point line and just looks off. Yeah.
They need more from J.R. Smith, definitely, and they need him to have his head in the game at least, especially in the defensive end. You can't. This is the NBA Finals. You can't make silly mistakes like that. You need to be smart about who you're fouling, when you're fouling people.
And if you're gonna foul when someone goes up for the shot, he did it one time towards the end of the game. He's got to make sure he gets the hand and make sure he doesn't allow them to put the basket.
Yeah, Harrison Barnes got that and one dunk on J.R. Smith. So
he either has to let it go or he has to foul him hard.
Exactly. So J.R. Smith really needs to get his head back in the game and provide that offensive spark as we go into the next few games, Game 5, Game 6 for Cleveland. Now, after that win in Game 2, as we went back home to Cleveland, there was a lot of hope surrounding, LeBron and his role players. So they kept up that intensity from Game 2 as they went into Game 3, and they did build a big lead in the first half. Steph Curry was quiet in the first half. He missed a lot of his shots. He just scored 3 points in the first half, and the only player sort of keeping it consistent for Golden State was Andre Iguodala again. But Cavs built that huge lead, and as we went into the second half, Golden State did mount a comeback.
And Deladova really played great defense on Curry, both in game 2 and carried over into game 3. And he put everything he had, all the effort he had into playing this game. And he may not be the most physically gifted player on the court, but he clearly had the most determination and will during that game.
Yeah, that's true. And incidentally, he is the lowest paid player on the Cavaliers side. And to see him showing that level of heart and determination is really fun to watch. He like you said, Imamshu, he doesn't have those physical attributes or those. He's not as fast as some of the other players, or he doesn't shoot as well as the other players. But then he just has that determination and that will. If there's a loose ball, you'll see him diving down for the first person on the floor. And as you saw in that game as well, game 3 towards the end of the game, a lot of times whenever the loose ball situation, Delhi was the first to get there. So, and he also, not to mention, he did put in an huge offensive contribution in this game.
Yeah.
He scored 20 points, which included a couple of big threes, and that huge and one play on Stephen Curry.
Yeah,
with under 3 minutes left in the game. So another point in this game, which sort of like was a good hope for Golden State, was the emergence of David Lee. They used him.
The end, that was what brought them back into the game, and that clearly showed them like a formula to move into Game 4. So they made the right adjustments into Game 4, and it worked. But what they saw in Game 3, at the end of Game 3, when Curry was able to get some open shots, he was getting going, and that built confidence for him into Game 4. And then putting David Lee in for a few minutes really sparked them, because he was an offensive threat off the pick and roll.
Yeah, he was actually perfect from the floor, 4 of 4, and Curry did find his touch late, like you said, and they did mount a furious comeback in that game. But then it was too little, too late, and Cleveland sort of held down to finish off that game. LeBron again had a huge game. He's incidentally scored the most points, I think, if you take the first 3 games of the NBA Finals. He scored the most points of all time. He put in 40 points in this game, and Dellavedova, of course, 20 points. Curry, he sort of found, like I said, he found his touch late. He put in 27 points, but most of those points came in the fourth quarter. Iguodala again consistent with 15 points, and then moving into Game 4, Golden State sort of got that offensive rhythm.
Yeah, they started moving the ball a lot better, and they pushed the ball, which was huge. They got into their offense very early, and even on made baskets by Cleveland, Curry was very, very adamant about making sure that he got the ball out quickly from whoever was throwing it in, and he ran down the court to start their offense and at least get into a quick pick and roll. And that worked well when they substituted out Bogut for Iguodala. And,
they went small. Yeah,
they essentially went small. Their transition game got going. They didn't have to wait for the lumbering Bogut to get down the court. They just ran right into their office, and if it didn't get them a good shot immediately, they did run the clock down, and they went through their offense a little better than they were the first few games. But also, it made Cleveland work a lot harder.
Yeah, that's right. And the defense really stepped up in this game. You could notice that they were like, okay, we're not gonna let LeBron beat us. They double teamed LeBron a lot, and they made him give the ball up. And this game, the role players sort of couldn't keep that fire going, or that fuel going to perform again, to put up a huge performance again in Game 4. With LeBron, giving up the ball a lot, the role players had to step up, and that didn't happen. In this game,
and the other thing is they just looked physically exhausted. They're going only 7 deep for the last 3-4 games, and LeBron, Dellavedova, Tristan Thompson, and Mozgov have all been playing huge minutes. So towards the end throughout Game 4, you could see that they just were drained physically, and Dellavedova had extreme cramps and was hospitalized the night before.
Yeah, exactly.
After Game 3.
Yeah.
So, clearly he wasn't right physically. There was something wrong, and the more physical team of Game 4 was definitely Golden State, and it showed on the rebound specifically.
Yeah, that's right. LeBron, if you remember in Game 4, he cut his head. He drove into Bogut. Bogut was he fouled him, but that was a good, clean foul. And he sort of lost his balance and went into the camera.
I think he kind of jumped to try to hope that they get some kind of flagrant foul or something like that. And it was really unnecessary, and ended up getting some cuts on his head.
Yeah. in that game, they did try to come back. Cleveland, in the third quarter, they put up a good performance. It was Golden State was leading by 6 points as they entered the fourth. It was 76-70, but in the fourth quarter, they were completely dominant. Cleveland just scored, I think, 2 of 18 in the fourth quarter. LeBron had 0 points in the fourth quarter, and Golden State just sort of ran away with it.
It was like towards the end, you could see they just got tired. And they just didn't have the energy on the defensive end. They couldn't run around, and Golden State did a very good job of moving the ball and actually going with the flow of their offense. As opposed to the first 3 games, it was quick shots,
Yeah.
and quick bad shots. They weren't good shots either.
Yeah.
It's not nothing bad about a quick shot, but it should be open and it should be within the flow of the offense. Game 4 was kind of a blowout. It was the first game that wasn't really close out of the first 4. So, I mean, what are you expecting out of game 5 and beyond?
Well, the ideal situation, according to me, would be if now going back to Golden State in Game 5, if Golden State would probably pull this off as well because they've got that offensive rhythm going. And I think they'll pull off a Game 5 and then take the 3-2 lead. But going back home, down and out sort of, I think LeBron will put up that huge performance at home in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, and they'll have that extra day of rest because there was 3 days in between Game 4 and 5. So the main players of Cleveland should be a little bit healthier and a little less tired than they were in Game 4. And hopefully that kind of gets them back in the flow of their offense and defense. I think the biggest thing was defense for that energy.
Yeah, that's right. And so according to me, I mean, like I was saying, the ideal situation would be if Golden State win the next game and they take the lead 3-2. Cleveland win at home 3-3, and then that ultimate Game 7 back in Oakland. That would be the ideal situation. I mean, for
basketball fans in general. I guess if you don't want that, if you're a Golden State fan.
Yeah. But the thing is, LeBron really needs to step up. I mean, he needs to be more aggressive. These are the times when, you look at sort of Michael Jordan for inspiration, I guess. It doesn't matter if, they're double teaming you. You got to find a way to win. Okay, and Jordan did that. If LeBron can do that in this game without having his, all-star teammates, in this series, if he does that, I mean, that'll really put him up in, legendary status.
Yeah, I mean, if he wins this championship without Kyrie and without Love, I mean, it's gonna put him on closer to that conversation of being better than Jordan.
Yeah,
I still don't think he is, but then you have one minor legitimate argument that he was better than Jordan.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can't. Let's not go there. I mean, we can't really compare Jordan to anyone for that matter.
In my opinion, he's not better than Jordan, but just to be clear.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely LeBron is definitely one of the greats, and but in the finals, you could argue that Jordan never lost any final series he was in. Right. LeBron has lost 2, and this might be the third one that he might lose. So that way, a 3-3 record compared to a 6-0 for Jordan clearly differentiates the two. But then what I also wanted to say is that. Apart from LeBron stepping up, what Jordan always did is sort of he lifted his teammates. He performed in such a way that his teammates got inspired to play. I mean, of course, he had people like Pippen and Tony Kukoc, Rodman with him. But then in this game, especially in Game 4, the Cavaliers really seemed out of character. I mean, you can't win a game when you have Dellavedova posting up on the offense or James Jones post ups. You can't rely on that to win a championship. So. They were really out of character. They really need to get back to what they're good at and find their strengths like how they did in Game 2 and Game 3.
And that was running the offense through LeBron, whether it's at the post up. I mean, he's going to shoot inefficiently when he shoots 30, 40 times. But for this team, the way it is constructed right now, he needs to do that regardless and forget about the percentages and run everything through him. And if he has to shoot 30, 40 times, you just got to let him do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because he needs to make those shots. There's nobody else. There's no Kyrie. There's no Kevin Love. There's nobody else who can actually take and make those kind of shots, especially in a final series. So, like you said, you're right. He needs to shoot. He also, sort of called out J.R. Smith, and he said he wants him to shoot it more, and it doesn't matter whether he makes or misses it. So let's see if J.R. also steps up as we go into Game 5. Game 5 again going to be in Oakland is going to be really tough for the Cavaliers in that arena.
That arena is going to be very, very loud.
Exactly. And it's sort of an uphill task for the Cavaliers because if they really need to win tomorrow's game. They really look to win tomorrow's game because going back home, they'll have a chance to close out the series. Because if they lose tomorrow's game and they, supposing they pull it off in game 6, then game 7 is going to be loud. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And it's going to really need they really need to be mentally tough to survive in that kind of environment. So it's going to be a really interesting series. The next game 5 is tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. India time. Any closing comments?
I mean, at this point, I don't want to rule out the Cavs because their will and their determination has taken them this far during this series. So I'm expecting it to go 7.
I hope too. I mean, I really want it to be 7 games. I think LeBron will not, sort of die down in 6 games. I will still stick with my prediction of, a Warriors win. But it's going to be a really crazy series. And I hope that game 7 is going to be, a game for the ages. I think we'll see that. Because LeBron, the last time he was in a game 7 was against...
Spurs.
Yeah, the Spurs. Yeah. And that was the time when Miami did win the title.
Yeah,
exactly. So
2 years ago.
So if this is another game 7, we'll see how LeBron fares this time. The next few games are coming up next week. We'll come back to you after the NBA Finals to give you a final roundup of the entire series. Let's hope it's a series that goes all the way,
and one that it could be one of the most memorable NBA Finals that we've had in our generation.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's sort of unique in its own way. You don't see a team like Golden State very often. They sort of lifted the level of the game with their shooting, especially their outside shooting. Yeah. And then on the other hand, you have
our transcendent player of our generation, LeBron, and he's playing probably the best he's ever played at this point. Like, he's carried this team on his back, and we'll see if he can do it for the next 3 games.
Yeah, that's right. So that's it for this podcast. We'll come back to you after the NBA Finals are over and done with. This is Vishnu Ravishankar and Himamshu Dabir signing off.